Oh man, what's going on, Jonah?
Hey, Avi.
How's
Uh,
life?
it's good. I'm a little bit poorer than I was last week, a little bit, and definitely poorer than a few weeks ago when Bitcoin was trading 125K. That's how I'm doing. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I think I'm actually I'm pretty excited about what's been happening over the last 2 weeks, and I'm excited to talk to you about it and share sort of what I'm thinking. But uh, basically, everyone got so bearish, and you know what? To their credit, a lot of people were right about how that Bitcoin was going down. But I think we've sort of ended up in a situation where because prices gone down, everyone's calling for the end of the cycle and that prices are just going to keep going down forever. And I mean, really, uh, this has nothing this has nothing to do with Bitcoin or crypto specifically. This sell-off, just this is an equity market sell-off. And so a lot of people calling for the end of crypto are they're doing the same thing that happened in November 2021, which is it just so happened to perfectly coincide with the end of the cycle. Fed starts saying inflation isn't transitory. We're gonna hike rates, et cetera, et cetera. And that nukes the equity markets, and then crypto goes tumbling down. And that was like, I don't know, to me, it's like it's like the simulation theory kind of played out there. It's like everyone's like, yeah, there's a 4 year cycle, and then God made it so. But
Self-fulfilling
he
prophecy.
self-fulfilling prophecy. But I don't think he's always gonna make it so. So I think the way that I'm looking at this now is, hey, we're actually in a pretty good spot to start getting back in. Now, I bought a little bit early. I bought before like the latest puke, and that was because I was mainly buying equities. I bought a little bit of BTC, a little bit of ETH, but most of the stuff that I was buying were equities in that list that I tweeted out that got, one thing just to finish up my rant here is, um, and I hate to do this to you guys, but whenever like if I'm bearish and my bear post gets too many likes, or if I'm bullish and my bull post gets too many likes, I always get really nervous. And when I tweeted out that I was buying, um, it made me very nervous that I got 1.3 thousand likes because that doesn't necessarily happen. By the way, I do want to clarify. I can't say that on air because that's a Russian curse, but this is actually live right now. It is Monday, November 24th, 1:06 p.m. I'm sitting here in my apartment. Jonah is sitting there in his apartment. Uh, we are recording live. This is genuinely live.
This is live. Yeah, speaking of quitting crypto, and just like the cycle being over, if I were to just go on your Twitter, Avi, and read what you've been up to, I would assume that like you have literally it's like
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at
here's
this guy's comments. He said that we're faking it. It's a Jewish trick.
that's a Jewish trick, guys. Yeah,
It's a
we
Jew- the entire show. The entire show is just one big Jewish trick,
yeah
actually.
we yeah, before we click the go live button, it's all sorcery and magic here, and then
Hmm.
we conceal our horns and go on air. Yeah, I guess if I look through your Twitter, I it's like here's some advice to 30-year-olds about how
Hmm.
to be be your true self, be authentic, and live your truth. Here, look at this picture of the LSAT study guide that I've got on my table. I'm going to law school. Just take a little time to walk out. Look at the stars are so beautiful outside of New York City. This is me hiking in the snow with some guy. And I'm just like, wow, Avi, are we gonna? How long is this podcast gonna last? Have you rage quit crypto? I think that's why everybody's so happy with you coming back to the table and buying some friggin' coins because that's what we need, man. We need bullish Avi back. We don't need.
It is a little bit of a Jewish trick. I mean, maybe it's the wrong form of trick, but I like to keep all of my crypto to the podcast because I find that the most it's just like the most fun way of expressing myself because the only people that tune into the podcast are people that actually want to listen. And on Twitter, whenever you tweet something, you just get attacked for it unless it's like extremely general. People are very angry on Twitter. People are much less angry if they're like watching a live. So just generally, like my Twitter feed has become terrible, and hopefully I'll actually be able to give you some good thoughts on like how I've been trading and how I've made money over the last few after that over the last week. But rest assured, I'm not going anywhere. Um,
I nibbled some.
I'm sticking in crypto. I'm addicted to it. There's no question there.
What a relief!
Um,
There's so much
but
opportunity here too. I when the chief tweeted out that he bought some BTC at 84K, I replied as well. I'm nibbling. I'm nibbling around these levels. I got some 85s, 86s. I don't think it goes much lower than here, frankly. So many people that I know in my life, just anecdotally, who feel like they missed the boat, and I'm like Mr. Bitcoin to them, Mr. Crypto. They're all reaching out like, "Hey, is this a good? I want to buy. Are these good levels?" There's so much of the world that understands crypto now that kind of missed the big run up, that started to understand it post FTX, and this is their chance. This is like when the S&P went down to 2300 during COVID, and
mhm.
a lot of people who hadn't really bought into the 2010s recovery had their moment, to double their money. It feels like the same thing for Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I think like right now I'm pretty I'm pretty damn bullish, Jonah. I think that we washed out all the bears. Equity markets are looking good. One thing that I'm looking at as well is I think Tesla is a good barometer for how the like punters are feeling, and Tesla's doing really well. Uh, Google is ripping. Google's at all time, like continues to push all time highs, and I think that the fears around equities are massively overblown, and I think that that's kind of the main reason that people pitched out of crypto. And crypto got this additional boom because you had this idea that DATs are going to implode on themselves. All right, that DATs are going to blow up. And when it comes to Bitcoin, I can tell you with absolute certainty, MicroStrategy is going nowhere, and they're going nowhere for a long time. And the rest of the DATs don't have that much Bitcoin to actually sell. So in aggregate, like probably 10 times, if not 15 times, the amount of Bitcoin held by DATs has already been sold on the way down from 125 to 85 to 80. So like that I think doesn't actually matter or is sort of a red herring. And so now we're looking at, okay, we found the demand zone. We found that Bitcoin bounced ridiculously hard off of 80. I think a lot of people are kind of nervous. Oh, was that the buy? Like, will I not get to buy 80? Everyone's talking about 72 to 74 is this sort of level, maybe 75. The reality is I don't think we're not gonna get there without at least a violent bounce to trap people, right? The only way
Mm.
that you get there is that you get back up to 90, you get back up to 95, maybe you get back up to 100 even, and everyone starts piling back in and everyone gets really bullish, and then the equity market turns again for some reason, whether that's Trump doing something stupid or a war breaking out or whatever. Earnings are good, Jonah. Earnings have been really nice. And so it's just a lot of like there is still a lot of fear in this market, but you kind of want to ride the wall of worry right now, which is why I'm back at, like I said, I bought mostly equities, and that's been good, and equities have been trading well. I sold a bit of equities this morning for crypto because I think that crypto is like because when I gave you my list of like these are the 8 things that I'm going to buy, I basically bought them reasonably evenly. Um, and so I was like pretty underweight crypto. I was like, I think only 20% of my buys were crypto, and now I brought that up. I'm bringing that up to 35% of the overall portfolio being crypto, as
Mm.
opposed to 20%.
I like that.
This is my trading portfolio because I do think that we're looking very good here. We're looking very good, and I love that everyone's so nervous. It makes
Me
me feel
too.
happy.
Yeah, I mean, be greedy when others are fearful. I think. Okay, so three things to unpack in what you just said. Three things to respond to: Bitcoin, equities, and macro. I got to talk about all three. I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on all three, and then toss it back to you. So Bitcoin. Let's not talk about broader crypto until later in the pod. Bitcoin, just using the good old Avi Feldman value and momentum framework, we're getting down towards value levels, right? Like you could, at 75K, $150,000 per token is sort of a target for a lot of people. That's probably why we didn't make it there. We got up to 125K, and a lot of participants, especially OGs, who have been selling like crazy, old wallets, basically said, all right, you know what? This is probably good enough. I'm not going to hold out for the extra 15% appreciation. I'm already a billionaire. Let me just start selling now. Equally, if everybody's target to buy is 75K, it's not going to get there, right? That's why it, I guess you have a wick down to where was the low print? You have a wick down to like 81, but it's not it never really went below 84 for any meaningful amount of time. And so if 150K is people's target, you could certainly almost double your money buying here. And that's great. And the OGs have stopped selling. And basically like there was just walls of selling in the order books from old wallets for the, all the way down from 125K. I said it, you heard it here first on the 1000X pod. I said those people would not continue to sell aggressively below 100K, and they haven't been. That selling has slowed. So it's looking great here, Bitcoin wise. I don't know. Do you have anything you want to say to that, or should I just go on to the rest of my rant about equities and macro?
I do think it's important for people to hear this, especially if you're a trader. Oh, look at this. BTC is above 88. God, this is good. Guys, pump it up.
Pump it up. Too early for wine here on the West Coast. Remember we had that.
Hood's back above 114. Tesla's almost at 420. Life is good. I mean, now is if you're not already in the water, it's time to get in the water. I mean, this is the type of move that really fucking pisses people off. Like, it just makes people very upset because, there are a lot of people. I mean, if you just look at volume, there are a lot of people that sold that 86 to 80, like that 8% band there. There are a lot of people that sold, and now that we're above it, I think you get gas up to 100 at least. It would be my take. And then I do think that this is also like a genuine, like a general reversal in trend. I mean, NASDAQ again doing very well. I think we bottomed. I think we're probably seeing all-time highs on NASDAQ, if not in the next month, in the next 2 months. And what I want to go back and say about your specific point is that, and this is again very important if you're a trader and you're trying to think of like multi-month moves or where things might go, the composition of the holders of Bitcoin and crypto are generally traders, and they're generally thinking about targets, and that gives you all the information that you need to know. When you have a risk reward that looks bad, so for example, when you're at 125 and everybody's talking about 150, the risk reward for you as a buyer, not amazing. What you need, if you're at 125, what you really need is you need people to be talking about, oh, I think this can go to 250. You want the aggregate market to view 250K as like as a thing. My old mentor Ari always used to say, when people's targets are reasonable, it's probably time to start selling. It's like, if like your average person is out there at 100K Bitcoin and they're like, I would love to sell 105K Bitcoin, you're like, they're probably just gonna fucking sell 100K.
I love that.
Right? Like, you need to keep going up in this world, you need unreasonable targets.
Well, that's what we have here on the 1000X pod. Our target for Bitcoin is $1 million, or at least mine is. Maybe you're 150-ish, but like I think over a multi-year time frame, I've got a pretty unrealistic target for Bitcoin.
And that's good. And that's what's needed.
Let's move on to equities for a sec. Sorry, did I cut you off, or are we
No, keep going.
Okay, equities. You said earnings are good. Google breaking through all-time highs. I'm of two minds about equities, and I want to debate this with you before we go to macro, because I have tons of thoughts on that too. So equities, okay, so NVIDIA earnings were strong. Google crushed it. I can talk about my Meta investment, which hasn't been doing so well recently, but I'm still super bullish. Mm-hmm. I basically think what's going on here, Gemini 3 is a game changer. Have you tried it,
Okay.
Avi?
I actually haven't tried it. No.
It's better than ChatGPT by, I would say a lot, in my opinion.
Really?
It's ludicrously good. And you can like search through your emails and stuff. You can be like, how much did I pay to get my pool pump repaired in 2021? And it'll like pull up the receipts and tell me the exact amount. Like it's really useful, in addition to also being better than ChatGPT for everything. And it's free for a certain amount of usage. So like ChatGPT regular users who don't pay the 20 a month can't like upload a lot of photos or documents, but Gemini, you can use Gemini 3, and basically it's a game changer for the entire world. So what I think is going to happen is I think that Google might end up eating a lot of OpenAI's market cap. And OpenAI is not publicly held, but basically that would be like a transfer of wealth from a bunch of private investors to everybody. So that could be pretty bullish, the stock market, if chat just gets eaten by Google right after their antitrust breakup situation gets dropped by the Justice Department. So things are looking good for big tech again, which is bullish. That's going to support equities. In my head, I'm so bullish the stock market, because I think that AI is going to make everybody's life, basically it's basically magic that makes profitability per employee go up rapidly. I think every company in the S&P 500, whether it's Google building state-of-the-art AI stuff or WD-40 making lubricant, but just needing fewer middle managers. Like I think that companies that totally fail to adopt AI or drop the ball, their market cap will disappear as they get disrupted so quickly that they'll just drop out of the index, and the rest of the S&P 500 and new entrants will rip because their return on equity will go up because they won't need to pay as much compensation to employees because they can fire so many people basically. And so I think that like in my head, maybe this is a mid-curve take, but I've constructed the most bullish scenario for the S&P 500 ever. This is as disruptive as the internet was, but it's going at like 10x the speed of the internet. Now, the problem with that, and this is where my gut fear, bearishness of equities comes in, and I can't quite explain it, so I'm going to try to articulate it now and then toss it over to you. What I'm worried about is that revolutions this impactful are messy, right? Obviously, on paper, this should be bullish as fuck, but like we're not displacing farmers so that they can basically take higher productivity jobs in factories, or displacing factory jobs so that they can become like lawyers and doctors and service providers. We're displacing everybody so that they can sit on the couch. And that's basically where we're headed. We're basically headed towards like a high abundance society where nobody works, with humanoid robotics and AI. And that's going to piss a lot of people off in the short run. So I'm worried that AI CapEx could deflate a little bit on its way to higher levels. I'm also worried about like social revolutions that could get super bearish. And with everything on the highs and something this disruptive threatening to just torch the entire market or change the entire world, it's not entirely clear to me that the market needs to triple from here because of the unlimited promise of AI. Like I think we could get some insanely painful bull market volatility in equities. And I don't know how to navigate it really,
Well,
other than
I
hanging
think
on.
first of all, generally speaking, if you're like taking money off the table because you think violent socialist revolution might come, I mean, I think you should take a walk around the block. Like it's just not, I just don't necessarily think that way that like that style of thinking is conducive, because I think that you're not wrong. I think that you're correct in your assessment of the situation. I think that that's probably where the world is headed. I think that it's going to take a lot longer than people expect. And in the meantime, the reality of the situation is, if companies can continue to be extremely profitable and make more money hand over fist, month over month, uh, and they lay off a bunch of people on it, and unemployment goes up, yes, that can lead to social problems. But in the world where enough people get laid off by these companies to allow them to cut their workforce in half and still increase profits, the market's doubling before we get any sort of revolution. Like,
Mm.
profits are going to go through the fucking roof, Jonah. If
Yeah,
that
that's
is
why
what's
I'm
going to
bullish.
happen,
That's why
which
I'm
is why
bullish.
I'm so bullish on this. Where like, yes, at some point We'll get to that. We will. I actually do believe this, which is why I encourage everybody to go buy land somewhere, even if it's like in the in the middle of nowhere in Appalachia. Just get some land. At some point, you got to protect yourself. I know I sound nuts saying that, but I do think that's coming. Make enough money to do that in the next 15 years. Um,
What do you
but
eat when you're there? Like you drink creek water and you eat what you shoot squirrels? Like what do
we're
you
not so we're not sponsored by them.
okay.
I wish we were. They're great. There's something called
Squirrels?
Mountain House, which makes like a bunch of these like freeze dried meals, and
Okay.
they last for like 50 years. And so I would just like stock up on a bunch of freeze dried meals for eternity. And as long as you have creek water, you can boil it, you pour it over the freeze dried stuff, and you're just like you're on your way. I mean, it's a little expensive. You could, if you wanted to, make your own freeze dried meals. So you could. We're losing viewers. They're hopping
Yeah,
up. They're
all
like,
right.
"What the fuck are you talking
Move
about?
on, move on.
Freeze
Okay, so
dried, freeze
basically
dried meals."
we're both
But anyway,
bullish.
that would be my approach. I ate it on the camping trip this weekend. It's pretty good.
We're
To
both
get to get
bullish,
back to
but
get
like
back to trading, I want to emphasize something that a lot of people sort of miss sometimes, which is that uh, I think crypto people in general, they need to catch every move perfectly. You need to trade it to the T. You need to buy the bottom and then sell the top, and that's just not. You're never going to be able to do that ever. I'm reasonably good at trading, and then I've never been able to do it. Jonah's an amazing trader. He's never been able to do it. Stanley Druckenmiller is the best trader of all time. He's never been able to do it. You're not going to buy the bottom and sell the top, but and so a lot of the times you'll see, and it'll discourage you from trading. You'll say, "Oh man, but this guy bought 80K, like, and he sold 90, and I am sitting here and I sold 86, and now it's at 88. Like, what do I do with myself?" And the answer is get rid of what you did in the past. Like, forget about all the decisions that you made in the past. Every day when you wake up and you look at the market, you have to assess it for where it is right now. Like, are your positions correct for where you are right now? Forget, like, if you bought and sold Bitcoin 150 times and have made no money, and you just keep getting chopped up. Sometimes what you do, I mean, you should probably take a break if you traded 150 times and made no money. But I guess what I'm trying to explain to you is don't get discouraged. So this guy puts it right. Sunk cost fallacy is a total. It's a total bitch. Don't let it impact your trading moving forward. So like when I see a day like today, I view these days as some of the most difficult days to buy. Um, but when I look at like a weekly chart, when I look at like Solana on a weekly chart, we've sort of hit that exact level that has been defended a lot. This is a strong value level. Yes, we're up 5% from that strong value level of what I'd call like 126 to 128, where people seem to really like buying Solana here. I can count one, I mean, I can count a lot of times if you just go to a weekly chart, pull it up, I can count like 15 times that it's hit this level and it goes up. I mean, this is a reasonable area to scale in, and you're buying here, you're looking for probably 155 to 185. And on ETH, well, I'm not a huge fan of ETH right now. Probably more Sol and BTC. But when you look at these charts, like they don't look so bad, Jonah. I think even if you I think they look good on both a short time horizon and a longer time horizon, which is actually pretty rare.
crypto charts look great on both time horizons. Equities charts, I think, look a little bit weird. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable YOLOing big chunks of capital into the stock market or into single names here, most single names on the highs. I'm getting a little like all I can think about is reasons to be bullish equities on the highs. That's usually a bad sign for me. So I'd be waiting on equities and investing in crypto, kind of like what you just did in your PA, you know?
Yeah, I will. I guess one thing that has always stood out to me as a trader that again, it's like pretty hard to wrap your head around because it feels ridiculously uncomfortable to do this, uh, is the things that are the strongest tend to actually stay the strongest until they break, and then obviously you can have like a collapse in on itself. But like Google is a great example of this. I texted a bunch of my friends because a couple of people hit me up. They're like, "What should I buy? Like, what are you looking at?" And I gave a whole list of things to the Twitter world, but what I emphasized to somebody that asked is because I followed up with the list and I said, "Why would you buy Google?" And my answer is very simple. It was the strongest. It barely went down. And what tends to happen is the stuff that barely goes down on the way down actually rebounds extremely hard on the way up. The stuff that is strong, that has a good narrative behind it, like Google, will continue to do well and probably will continue to outpace the other stuff. I mean, and now looking at it, 7 days later, probably should have just put everything in Google because it outperformed the whole portfolio in some cases by 20%. When you compare it against what Bitcoin did since then. And so I view equities, I guess the point here is that I view equities as strong right now.
Very strong. The other thing is macro wise. Um, one thing that could kind of happen almost by accident is you could end up with a high stock market and high unemployment because of AI. As basically like companies become autonomous and people get thrown out of their jobs. And that would be a scenario where the Fed could cut interest rates, which would create an even bigger flywheel. Because there's still an
Yeah, let's
affordability
let's let,
crisis.
let's talk about that for a second because like what's going on with the Fed has to operate sort of blind right now. The Trump administration is not releasing any data.
Yeah,
It's
I
kind of
don't
crazy.
envy them. I've always like not envied the Fed economists. They're I actually my senior year thesis in college, my professor was a PhD economist who ended up working for the Fed, and we stayed in touch. And basically, these guys just spend all day analyzing data with really menial paychecks. So, they're like true public servants with incredible degrees. They could be earning way more money. I can only imagine what it's like if the data spigot just gets turned off and the president of the United States is like, you guys, you don't know what you're doing. You're all idiots. Just cut the interest rates already. It's like some real estate developer, like, come on, let my guys refinance. It must be very annoying for these people. But yeah, I feel like inflation is too persistently high for them to cut, and unemployment, like I'm convinced that there's more unemployment than the data shows. Maybe the government's like doctoring the data or withholding the unemployment data, but it's the hardest. It's youth unemployment is the highest it's been in a while. It's like 9% or something. Anecdotally, it just feels like people are getting laid off from their jobs left and right. Amazon, UPS, whatever. Something feels amiss to me, Avi, and I think that it's probably going to result in there's like a huge affordability crisis. It seems weird to keep the economy on slowdown mode with higher interest rates in this environment, but I'm not a rates expert. I don't know. To me, the big macro kicker that nobody's paying attention to is the Ukraine war could literally end this week, and the world will be awash in additional wheat, crude oil, gas, and other commodities that will send inflation much lower. People have forgotten how much that war jacked inflation. And obviously there's been some workarounds. Russia still sells its oil at like extreme discounts, but like if sanctions get paused or lifted, or the gas starts flowing a little bit more, or the wheat starts coming out of the port of Odessa a little bit more, like, dude, global inflation is going to come down. Then rates really have to come down, even if the unemployment data still shows whatever it shows right now. Um, I think people are sleeping on how bullish that is for everything. That's a big macro kicker.
I 100% agree with that. And I do wonder, it's like we've had all of these exogenous things depress the markets. There are a couple of release valves here, right? So like if the Trump tariffs get struck down, if the Ukraine war ends, there are some things that kind of like, for lack of a better word, like take the boot off the neck of the markets, which have been rallying extremely hard. X, because the main things that are rallying, which we've talked about, don't really like have anything to do with the tariffs and don't really have anything to do with the war on Ukraine, but there's this entire like segment of the market that has been depressed because of it. And if that gets lifted, then everything can, like then you have a whole sector of the market that can start to come back, which I'm very, hopeful and excited for. Maybe Trump insulting Zelensky day after day will finally lead somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's it, imagine if it could be a crazy knock-on effect. And this
Tell
goes
me.
back to our AI conversation as well. So universal, basically, like, imagine this series of events. Ukraine war ends. Entire world is awash with Russian oil again, instead of just a few countries that are willing to take it at a steep discount. That
Mhm.
puts pressure on OPEC to stop the cuts because they won't be able to support the market much with their current level of cutting. Oil collapses, inflation comes down. This is like a 1 to 2 year process, right? Then by that point, the crazy AI has gotten so crazy that it's like discovering novel science, including alternative sources of energy like cold fusion or something else. Then now I'm really putting my tinfoil hat on. When the world
And
moves
then and
away,
then we and then aliens come and pump everything up with their superior technology.
aliens are discovered on Mars. No, before we get there, we get unlimited energy from cold fusion, and then the Middle East no longer has a product or a service to offer the world, and then there's like crazy warfare over there. That's what I mean by like the road to infinity is fraught with plenty of scary drawdowns. You know.
The and the road will continue after this ad break. Thank you guys for
If you're an
sticking with us.
eligible US trader looking for an edge, Kraken Pro is the only crypto exchange offering margin trading in the US. Qualified traders can tap into 150 plus margin markets with up to 10 times leverage on select assets, using Bitcoin, Ethereum, USTD, and more as collateral. Plus, you get real-time risk tools and Kraken's signature deep liquidity all in one trusted platform. Check out Kraken Pro and see if you qualify at kraken.com/features/margin trading. Crypto trading involves risk of loss, and margin is not for everyone. Margin services are offered to U.S. customers through Payward Interactive, Inc. For full disclosures, visit kraken.com/legal/disclosures and review Kraken's margin disclosure statement. The machine economy is here. Devices are monetizing data for their users all over the world. Tokenized robots are generating revenue for token holders. The first machine economy free zone is live in the Emirates, and it's all happening on Peak, the machine economy computer. Head to peak.xyz to find out how you can benefit from the age of automation, or click the link in the show notes to find out more. Shout out to today's sponsor, Katana. Katana is a DeFi first chain built for deep liquidity and high yield. No empty emissions, just real yield and sequencer fees routed back to DeFi users. Incubated by Polygon Labs and GSR, Katana is launching with notable ecosystem of primitives, assets, and partners like Morpho, Chainlink, and more. Katana's 1 billion cat campaign is live. Bridge and deposit directly into vaults in one simple click and start earning immediately on your Ether, Bitcoin, USDC, and more. Follow the link in today's show notes to get started. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
Oh my God, tokenized robot. Thank you guys. Thank you
Tokenized
guys
robot.
for bearing with us. This is truly the future, Jonah. Maybe
The
maybe
world is.
we'll bring back IOTA. Do you remember IOTA? Do you remember that
Yeah,
thing?
that was like a 2017 one, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was like supposed to, your car was supposed to pay your fridge, was supposed to pay your washing machine, and they were supposed to talk to each other overnight, and then this was a whole thing. And it was
My
a
favorite
complete, it
one
was,
back
it,
then
and it was,
was
and it was, and it was a complete and utter scam. Kind of similar to what a lot of people are saying about Monad.
good transition, Avi.
Yeah,
Um, I
I'm getting
just
better.
tweeted out. I don't get Monad. I just tweeted out like, what is the point of Monad? Please explain it to me like I'm a child. So far, it's like, okay, fast EVM chain. To the point of, that's one answer. Another answer is to make VCs rich. Another answer is if Ethereum came out today, it would be Monad. and no one can really explain why or what this thing is.
I can
Another
tell you
L1.
exactly what Monad is, and I can tell you exactly what basically everything is in crypto, other than the stuff that makes money. It is created in a factory by venture capitalists to provide a short leg for their longs. That's what that's what these things are. And this is nothing to say, like, genuinely, this is not a dig at Monad or a dig at any of the other L1s. I actually think that the vast majority of projects are staffed by good, competent people that are trying to do their best. And I think the reality is that we've had 5 years of building new novel L1s and 5 years of these L1s not having any real success. And that's not because of the competency level or ethics, although in some cases, perhaps it's simply because you're building in a market where there are no real active consumers other than a small subset of people that use it. And what really needs to be done again is the application layer. And there have been a few attempts at this. I mean, I love Berachain. I have been a little disappointed with the level of applications that exist on top of Berachain, and I think that level of disappointment kind of expands to the whole realm of L1s and L2s, and this is why people got mad about Mega ETH. Is the reality is that there are no applications being built.
You don't vape to earn on Berachain, Avi?
Well, I quit nicotine actually,
Mm.
so. Which, man, that was one of the most annoying things I ever had.
Mazel
Very
tov.
annoying. That if you smoke or you vape, just don't start.
You know what
Man.
else is annoying, Avi?
What?
Lung cancer. That's annoying. So good job.
Lung cancer is a terrible app.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're not vaping to earn on Berachain. I agree. This is a shill that we've had on the 1000X pod. I think we were early to this shill, which is block space is a commodity. Infrastructure is hard to invest in if there's no shortage of
Mhm.
uses for that infrastructure. No shortage of space to use that infrastructure within it. And I don't know. I got a lot of hate for saying that, and so did Santi, and so have you. But it's really true. Why invest in something that's commoditized and abundant? You're not you're investing in providers of a commoditized, abundant thing. And in technology, the word commodity is like a dirty word. It's like a 4-letter word that's sort of considered gross. And where I come from in commodities trading, the word commodity is like the sexiest word in the dictionary. And it basically there are two different parts of the value chain here. If you are producing a commodity, that sucks for you. If you are trading a commodity, there's tons of money to be made. These things are volatile and range bound. You sell when they get to the top of the range, and you buy when they get to the bottom. We were hating on Solana and ETH all the way down. Well, maybe not. We had a moment where we thought ETH would break out. We were kind of wrong, but right now, you just pull up the weekly chart on Solana. To your point earlier in the pod, this is probably a good level to buy. When it gets back up above 200, you sell. Solana and Ethereum are basically commodities now, and the blockchains behind them, like the teams, are producers of the commodity. You don't want to be invested in like Solana Foundation equity. You can trade the token in a range for commodities now. That's how to think about it. And then I guess in terms of like Monad, who needs it? It's just another L1 when no one's like dying to have a different L1 to launch on. Makes no sense. Show me the applications and then maybe it'll rally. But there's nothing right now. It's a ghost.
And look, I am hopeful because I do think that, I mean, first of all, if we are able to launch an L1 that does well as an industry, we're back. We're back, baby. Like the whole thing is just back. And that would be phenomenal. So I don't want to be one of those guys. One of my biggest pet peeves with people in crypto is that they can sometimes be too pessimistic about things, especially the traders. We're inherently a cynical people. We are. And I do think that you kind of need to have a little bit of optimism in order to exist in this space. And you need, I mean, not a little bit. I mean, you should be optimistic. You know, if you want to be on the cutting edge of tech, you got to be an optimist, because that's how we get anywhere. And so I don't say this to denigrate. I say this to push. Let's do better as an industry. Let's right, like let's do better as an industry. That's kind of where I'm trying to go. And I think it would be awesome. Like one thing that is happening now that I am bullish on is that, well, like Robinhood's launching their tokenized stocks. Our ads are talking about tokenized robots. The world is now seeing crypto as something that they can bring in and adopt. And I do think that will lead to some innovation within companies, which is kind of what we were talking about with Santi on the last podcast, is that, crypto is akin to the internet. There will be internet first companies that will succeed widely. There will also be companies that adopt the internet extremely well, but have existed for a long time, but they take the internet technology, they adopt it, and then they're off to the races, you know?
That's a great point. What's a good example of a company that adopted the internet profitably? I guess you could say Microsoft. That's like the canonical example.
Yeah,
They're
I mean,
not an internet company.
Microsoft 100%. That was like, like any computer company, I guess, adopted the internet.
Yeah, they basically used to just sell like CD-ROMs with like software preloaded onto them, and then you'd stick it in the disk drive. And then now basically Microsoft Office is like a cloud-based service that you end up paying way more for than you ever used to. So yeah, like that's a perfect example. So maybe, and I guess Google was internet native. There was no pre-internet version of Google or Facebook.
Here's a good one, Netflix.
Oh yeah, that's a great example.
Netflix was not an internet company by any stretch, but they adopted the internet. They used the technology to improve their service.
Yeah, that's a great one. And
So
Blockbuster could have done that too. They just didn't.
So I think look, I don't know if this is obviously a much more regulated industry, so maybe the winners like are the banks here, but for example, if everyone decides to start trading tokenized stocks on Ethereum or Solana, Solana, like whatever chain they choose to do it on, it's going to go up. And it's going to go up a lot. It's going to go up bigly, Jonah. It's going to go up a lot.
I would love for Kyle Samani to come on this podcast and talk to us about tokenized equities and what he's doing with the NASDAQ and the regulators and stuff. I know he's got a whole thesis on Solana around that thing you just mentioned. What I can't help but wonder is, in an era where launching a chain is relatively commoditized, especially if you're at the scale of like a NASDAQ, why would you just outsource your entire business to Solana? Like, to me, even the most Luddite, sort of antiquated 70-year-old TradFi CEO who's used to like doing their bookkeeping with a pencil and paper, like surely 35 years into the internet era, or whatever it is, 30 years, like surely they would have enough instinct or gut feel to say like, that is a poor business decision, handing all of that value capture to Solana token holders instead of just holding onto it with your own chain that interoperates with Solana or ETH or whatever else, all the exchanges. Would be like, who would do that?
I mean,
like
I
everybody.
think the issue is that
it's like IBM
you
outsourcing their
you-
OS to Microsoft, you know?
I mean, everyone outsourced. I mean, nobody builds an OS.
No,
for
I'm saying that like
themselves.
back in the 80s, that was like the decision that made Bill Gates, right? Like
Well, they
IBM
got.
for
I mean,
some-
they got eaten. That was the issue, Jonah. is
Yes.
they
So with
got
that,
eaten. And I think
that's like
Solana,
well-known
like,
business history. So why would NASDAQ do the same thing, make the same mistake with Solana? That's what I want to know.
because I think what the world has started to realize is that crypto can be a very good backbone for financial infrastructure. But the reality is the majority of value capture comes from the interface, and it always will. The majority of value capture will always be the customer facing thing. And at least in terms of like building, like huge companies, right? So the only thing that I can think of that's not true, where that's not true, is with credit cards. Obviously, Visa and MasterCard make a killing. Um, but so do all the credit card companies. American Express owns their own network, but JP Morgan, yes, they outsource all of this value capture to Visa and MasterCard and Bank of America. Anyone that issues a credit card, yes, they're outsourcing, but it's because they're still making a ton of money on the consumer-facing application, right?
So let's debate this. Sorry, are you done? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm done. No, I'm done, Jonah.
Okay,
I'm,
so
you know
let's
what?
debate
Actually,
this.
I'm done with you. I don't want to, how dare you disagree with me?
I knew this day was coming, Avi. I knew. It's just so sad. Fuck.
We got it. Like the people want drama. We got to give it to them, Jonah.
We got 5,700 viewers now. This is awesome. We're streamers. I think if you get over 5,000, you're officially a micro streamer.
I don't know if that's a
streamer.
lot or a little. I think it's. But anyway, we love every single one of you, the
Thank you for tuning
5693
in.
that are on here. Thank you for tuning in.
We love you guys. Let's debate this, though. Let's debate this.
We're gonna have to stream I guess we're gonna have to stream a lot more.
We got to keep streaming. We're streaming. We're streaming. All right. So basically, I think
ETH keeps pumping up while you're talking, Jonah. The market
Solana and ETH are up the same amount. It's just the L1 trade, except Monad. That one's not pumping. So here's my idea. Crypto kind of talks out of both sides of its mouth. There, on the one hand, crypto protocol founders and evangelists and the VCs behind them will say, Avi, as soon as stocks are traded on Solana, the price of Sol is going to be $1,000 a token. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be so ridiculous. And then on the other side of the mouth, they're saying like, no, like we don't capture any value. Like we don't build applications on us. Like we're not going to steal all your money. All the value goes to you, to the application developer. And they're inherently incongruous concepts. And to me, like what I think is really interesting underneath all of this is that blog post, and I think it was like 2015-ish, the fat protocol thesis, which basically says like the L1 takes 80 to 90% of the wallet and the rest is left for the scraps are left for the applications. Like that's kind of unanswered. I used to be a big believer in the truth behind that, but now I'm starting to think that I'm wrong and that applications will eat the lunch of the protocols, which inherently means you can't say, okay, when the entire world runs on Solana, like the price of Solana is going to be $1 gazillion because it's probably not going to be capturing much value and block space will still be commoditized.
So I have a long history with this. I don't know if maybe I can post it. I'll post it in the comments over here. But 7 years ago, I wrote on June 26, 2018, I wrote an article that debated the FAT protocol thesis. It's very short. It's not like particularly long. But every single point I kind of stand by it. And back then, a lot of these things were like hotly debated. So for example, one thing that I said here is one, applications often end up building their own application-specific protocols. Now, at the time, if I'd rewrote that today, I would have said application-specific blockchains. At the time, we weren't using that like nomenclature. But I stand by that. That I've always said, been very consistent on this for 7 years. Applications will end up winning this war. The FAT protocol thesis is complete and utter nonsense. As much as I appreciate its impact on like the state of the crypto industry, I'll tell you guys a secret. The reason that it is the bedrock of our industry is that it's a lot easier to build infrastructure and make money than it is to build an application and make money. Because when you build infrastructure, there's the promise of application. But when you build an application, there's just the reality of the user. And so you gravitate towards building infrastructure because it's easier to get high valuations. And that's kind of what's been happening. So the death, and I not death because obviously they're still raising money, but the realization that infrastructure plays are not really where a ton of money is going to be made anymore. Really good for the industry. Really, really good for the industry, in my personal opinion. And that makes me like on this, and I think we're finally there. I think we're finally like getting it, which is why when you look at my shopping list, I'm probably gonna start. I mean, I do think that this is the start of like this is the beginning of the bottom right here. I don't know if what tends to happen is like you get back up to a level, like maybe you'll get back up to 92, 93 here, and then you'll trade back down to 87, and then you'll go back up. But like this area that we're in right now, if you buy and you wait 3 months, I think you're up 50%. You just have to not stare at the charts every day and not get all like, let me make sure I'm perfectly positioned here and there. I mean, we blew out so many people. And one of the things that, like, what kind of confirmed it for me is when you have a market leader like hype kind of blow up, that to me is the capitulation. That's like, okay, the market is finally like you're finally selling, like you're getting the last sellers out. When the strong token that has held up through the drawdown finally collapses, then you're, I think, closer to the end. That's my view.
I like that view a lot. I think another reason why hype might be outperforming has nothing to do with fat apps or fat protocols. Aster is starting to eat into some of that mind share. Like Aster, let me just caveat what I'm about to say with the notion that we have no idea if Aster is real or fake, if it's just another scam, or whether it's like real. But if you go to Asterlify, I don't know how to pronounce it, ASTERLIFY.com, it has all the stats are on chain. They're buying back $5,000 per minute worth of Aster, I think. It's that token has outperformed. Speaking of buying strength in a weak market, like that thing has outperformed the most out of pretty much any major crypto project in this sell-off. The people buying that or investing in that, like that's every dime that goes into Aster is a dime that's not going into hype. So, you can debate how valid or invalid it is as a product, whether its future is real or not, but it is taking some mind share away from the number one DEX in the world, hype. Now, what I will say is I think it would be weird if CZ, a guy who's worth, let's just say somewhere between 20 and 80 billion dollars, right? Goes to jail, gets out of jail, gets pardoned, and then the first thing that he does is try to make an extra billion or two with a pump and dump. Like that would be weird. I think he's worried about his legacy at this point, not increasing his net worth by like 1 to 5%. At the expense of becoming a known scammer again after having just gone through all of that. So to me, I think there's a credible story here that a CZ controlled vehicle will basically become the most hated rally in crypto over the next year, just because it's an application, it's an app chain. There's a token. The buybacks are real as fuck, and because of the history and the chip on the shoulder, and he doesn't want to see Hyperliquid destroy his legacy after the quote unquote crime just destroyed his IRL legacy. So I don't know. I think there's something to that. It's one of the apps that I'm looking at.
Do you really think that CZ cares about his legacy? Like,
Okay.
do you genuinely think you look deep into his eyes? Sit with who CZ is as a person, and then look at me and tell me he cares about his legacy.
Let's say that he doesn't, right?
Okay.
Let's say it's just about them. Let's say I'm wrong and he doesn't care about his legacy. I think it still doesn't make sense for him to do a pump and dump scam to increase his net worth by 1 to 5%. I think he's going for 50 to 100% net worth increase, which means that we all have a lot to benefit from holding Aster at these levels.
So the presupposition here is that he is uniquely behind Aster, and that he has never treated another project this way. And I don't think that's true. I mean, there are a couple, like he used to pump and dump all sorts of weird BNB scams back in the day. When BNB chain was starting, he was huge on it, talking about Pancake Swap. We love Pancake Swap, and look what happened to Pancake Swap. Who fucking cares about Pancake Swap now?
Yeah.
Maybe I should actually. Maybe we should look at it again, because I am bullish on BNB, but I'm not bullish on BNB because of CZ. I'm bullish on BNB because Binance makes money hand over fist, and they're going to figure out how to deliver that back to BNB holders because they're the largest BNB holders in the world. I mean, it's just like, I think that if you want to bet on CZ and you want to bet on Binance and you want to bet on the growth of CZ caring about his legacy, go 3x long BNB. That's my take, right? Like, you can buy, yeah, maybe Aster does this, but the moment that he gives it up, that man will cut. If Aster starts performing poorly, if it doesn't get traction, if it doesn't go anywhere, he's gonna throw it out.
You're right.
And so I guess I don't have any insight. Okay, I'll tell you a time where I was completely bamboozled and befuddled by statistics. Have you heard of Rollbit?
Yeah, I don't know what it is though. I just heard the name.
It's a casino coin, and they have the best buybacks in the world. They're always buying back their token. They're buying back tremendous amounts of their token. That's the only thing they do, is they buy back their token with all their revenues, and it fucking goes straight down. And nobody has any idea why, because they're like, if you're making this much money and you keep buying back your token, why does it keep going down? And I like Rollbit. I'm a much bigger fan of Shuffle. I love Shuffle. I think Shuffle is like the next coming of MGM. And this is because Shuffle goes up and Rollbit goes down. So if Rollbit starts going up and Shuffle starts going down, I'll obviously reverse course. But for now, it's actually a lie. Actually, I like the founder of Shuffle a lot. I think he's a genuine person.
I'll check that one out. Looks like we got a Rollbit.
We've talked about it on previous. It's actually off a little bit since the highs. I think it's at 38 cents right now. 300 mil. It just has very low volume. But basically, I guess to bring it back is that if you don't know what's actually happening with the buybacks, it's kind of hard to make the case that you should. You have to make the case outside of the buybacks, and I think the case outside of the buybacks is also a little bit flimsy. I could be completely wrong. I don't know.
The case is flimsy. I've used both Hyperliquid and Aster just as a test user, and like basically Hyperliquid has a better UX than Aster. Both of them are like Hyperliquid feels a little bit more decentralized. Aster kind of looks just like Binance, but with a shittier UX and a Web3 login. Both are no KYC. Hard to say. It's an early bet, but
and also the FDV of Aster is 9 billion, which is like, okay, look, Hype's FDV is obviously 32, but still, like that 3-to-1 ratio probably is like, if not fair, maybe even overvalued on behalf of Aster. I don't know. I wouldn't be. I would be a buyer of Hype, not a buyer of Aster. But I'd also be a buyer of BNB because I'm super bullish on BNB. And I will note, like the comment that you brought up, it's true. When Binance first started, everybody called it a scam. Everybody called it was a wash trading exchange, and it won. So I do think if you want to buy Aster, your number one goal should be to figure out how much does CZ care about this thing. That's your goal. Like that's the only thing you should be seeking to answer. And if you come up with an answer, let me know.
I've got a theory, which is that it's basically been a stable coin throughout this entire crypto puke. So my only thesis is that CZ's been buying it, maybe to dump on all of us later, but it trades like someone cares, put it that way.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's held up,
BNB, wow, that's a sell-off right there. I might nibble at these levels. That could
It's
be
a
a great.
sell-off, but it's like it's a sell-off, but it's a sell-off because it performed so well, right?
Yeah.
Like if you look at it in BTC terms, it's outperformed BTC in aggregate over the sell-off. I mean, obviously that's like a, you know,
Low bar. Yeah.
low bar, but yeah, it's performed very well. Oh God, we're almost at 89. Guys, I'm telling you, we started the stream an hour ago. Bitcoin is $1,000 lower. We started this stream telling you that it was the bottom. Not sure how much more straight we can give it to you.
We own our L's and our W's on the 1000X podcast. We love a victory lap here.
But we also love a losing lap. I mean, you know, I think that you'll always, you know, I try to stay grounded and not puff up too much if I don't have anything to puff up about. But you know, if I lose, you'll know. If I win, you'll know.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, do we have enough time for me to just quickly do a 2-second spiel on Meta?
Oh yeah. I mean, I got all the time in the world. Hey guys, do you want us to keep going? Say yes in the comments,
Or tell us to stop.
or tell us to stop. Wait, because we just hit an hour.
Literally no one responded.
Literally nobody cares.
Oh, they want a 1000X terminal update. We'll give that too.
Not yet.
Oh,
On the next,
this guy
on the
writes
next
stop.
level.
All right. Yes. All right. So basically, Meta. I've owned Meta from lower levels, so I'm still deeply in the money. But I started shilling it kind of closer to the highs, which is a bad look on me. It's definitely gone down since I started laying out my thesis on it publicly. What I will say is that I think that no company has more to gain, other than Nvidia. No company has more to gain from AI than Meta, right? Like Meta has the best business in the world, which is selling ads. That is like you and I sell ads. It's a great business, right? And basically the way to make it the way to target an ad better is it's all inside of Facebook and it's all enabled by AI. Sorry, Facebook. I call it Facebook. Everything inside of Meta is ad targeting. And unlike Google, where AI can legitimately disrupt their ad selling business, which is that is their business, right? Waymo's great, YouTube is cool, but like their main business is the blue links. AI can disrupt that, and it probably will. Within Meta, there's no way to disrupt networks of social connections, right? Like Meta basically owns 2/3 of the planet's attention. And I do think that ad targeting will work. I also think one thing that you're seeing from these platforms is like there's a lot of copying and pasting in and out of LLMs. And that's why Cursor is so valuable as a product, because it just disintermediates one layer of copying and pasting. The AI is inside of your code editor, so it just watches and knows what you're coding. The context is all there. I continue to think that what Meta is being punished for, which is those AR glasses, right? Will become the platform that allows you to just stare at something and speak out loud without having to like hit the microphone button, take a picture with your phone, hit the microphone button. Like I do think that technology will become basically ubiquitous in a few years, and I think they'll basically become the new Apple, just owning the entire tech stack from the platform, which is the glasses, all the way down to the software, which, you know, in 2 to 3 years, I think all LLMs will be far better than our actual human uses for them. So I think even if Meta isn't quite caught up with the state of the art now, where there's still more demand than there is supply for LLM thinking, that'll reverse quickly, and owning the platform like the iPhone of the future will be more valuable. So I really think Meta is getting punished for something that they shouldn't be punished for. I think there's much more upside to Meta at a lower market cap than Google. And I think that, yeah, the market's attacking them for not having a state of the art, you know, Gemini 3 level LLM. It's attacking them for spending money on hardware like these glasses, when I think that both of those things, the LLMs will become commoditized and the glasses will become super freaking valuable. And also the ad targeting within Meta, I think that business is defensible, whereas ads on Google, it's like more of an open season from other platforms to steal that ad revenue. So that's the spiel on that.
Yeah, I do genuinely agree that I think the emphasis on LLMs, like on the quality of the model of the LLM, is probably overblown. And it's like what that will be used for, and like what is the capture. I think what Google was getting hit for is that people were moving away from the product, right? They were moving away and using ChatGPT and using other LLMs and moving away from the core product of Google, which is you go to Google to figure out what's going on, whether it's in the world, whether it's, where to go to eat, whether it's whatever it is. Google was your portal to learning things. And that shifted to LLMs because they didn't have necessarily good model. Because LLMs are not commoditized right now, and the fear from the market was, how long will it take Google to come out with a comparable product? If it takes too long, will they lose their, like, basically their standing among consumers as the entry point? And that's why you're about to see Google go on an absolutely generational fucking run. In my personal opinion, like, it could quite literally double from here, because what you just said, right? Like, they're now better than ChatGPT. And not only that, they're back to being the entry point of the internet. Like, and this is true for me. Like, I was using ChatGPT as my entry point of the internet, right? For questions that I used to go to Google for, I went to ChatGPT. And now if I could just go to Google, well, candidly, it's a lot easier to just look up something in Safari while I'm here than to pull up ChatGPT and like have like, a dedicated website. That's why ChatGPT released a browser. That's the whole reason. It's because they're trying to keep, but Google's so far ahead. The only fear for Google was, will they not get there in time? And it looks like they did. It looks like they got there in time, and so to the fucking moon.
To the moon. Yeah, I think so. So basically, I don't know. Do you want to put out a 1000x terminal update, or should we write something like really clean on Twitter about? Basically, our thing is ready, but we haven't done the marketing push yet. So we're figuring that out. What should we do? You want to talk about it now or on Twitter? We've been streaming a while.
I think we can save it for the next time.
Okay. Yeah, we've been going a little too long here. But good things await for those who are looking for Avi and Jonah like commentary in between podcasts and market analysis. Let's just leave it. Let's tease that.
Let's do it, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Great talking to you, Avi. Awesome pod as always. Let's keep streaming. 6,945 viewers. Wow.
Oh, should we just wait until we hit 7,000?
Thank you to everybody who tuned in. We're stoked that this is a format that seems to have caught on.
Yeah, we appreciate every last one of you, and we're gonna start streaming every week from now on like this. So
Great.
Let's get it done.
Until next time. Nothing said on the 1000X podcast is a recommendation to buy or sell any investments or products. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the views expressed by anyone on the show are solely their opinions, not financial advice or necessarily the views of Blockworks. Our hosts, guests, and the Blockworks team may hold positions in the company's funds or projects discussed.